Okay, I don't want to get that since things got a little more intense in our thing. I don't want. I mean, I don't want to say something, but but I am wondering to work with your technology, which everything means something. That I mean, sometimes you guys can load the video really fast or really slow, apparently, and I mean, often it's correlated to something. So it's just well, it's loading slowly, like. But I'm just curious because like there was something that it happened when I was walking and I was. I mean, a bunch of things indicate. I almost mentioned it in the other video, and I thought like I you know I don't want to. That's a video about one thing, but I mean this could be so wrong. I mean this could be so not what you like. Like you're that's ego. Like this, make another video or something. You just made a video or something. I mean I don't know. But what I was gonna say about that I left out of the other one about these like I said when people get moved and evicted from those to like encampments and stuff, they can't go to the city is what I said because should you be then you're arrested if you're like sitting on and most cities have these like you can't no sit and lie ordinances and everything, all that stuff. I really don't want. I mean, I really don't want to add something like when being out of step with our unified field is there's that kind of consequence. Like I don't want to really, but I'm saying like is that I'm not saying I want the video to load faster or something like that. It's just like oh well we didn't mention that. Ah, we'll go slowly. Part of what we say like let me probably phrase it properly. Um, okay. Let me lead into this in a way that's not the wrong way to say it, since someone sees these. I mean, if we put something up, when having to do with people living on the street and stuff, and why when being you get arrested for that, okay, when reporters came to talk to people in Occupy, like when they were occupying, I only the two I saw in the interview. Reporters came to when they were occupying the financial districts. Reporters, came in and asked like it was like a sort of question like the news stations asked like what are you protesting capitalism was like sort of what the sort of like naive the sort of naive like reporter that was a question like to tell that people don't know really or people that's always a big thing with like people who are doing any kind of like political action that has to do with like our financial system and all these type of things like is always like has to do with like they're accused or asked if they're anti-capitalist and like when I was part of what information we were giving out. I'm getting to something about the about people being arrested for living on the street. That part of what we did in our like videos where we were like prompted to sort of like talk, more like economic things was said like it's only thought here that what and why we mentioned our friend. Some of the like right wing thinkers that your friend has read that like I sort of had to like give a little book report explain what that's all about, which is that this form of this for the what to say we're living under capitalism. Like the fact is, this like form, and now they're pushing it into like where it's going to look like the Middle Ages. But what we're living with is of the 19th century is what it is. Like that, you know, far right wing in Europe, like Francis Parker, like, so chapter devoted to that, like this capitalism as like just as for its, you know, that was, you know, the part of the modern industrial capitalism already happened, and it's still, we're in the 19th century. Civilized, like in Germany or in societies that like have a civilization, they've moved to like the next phase. So that is to say, you don't overthrow capitalism. No, no, no. Capital, like that's part of heading towards civilization. But then you would get to what, you know, the sort of right wing in Europe would call, like, you know, ethical capitalism, or you call what you want, but, you know, there is a phase after 19th century capitalism. There's a phase after that, and part of the thing with like what a lot of like people, you know, speaking minutes have said about, like, if you want to, like, if you why is it like, why is it actually, what are the reasons that like people who are like living on the street or living in, you know, outside of, you know, home, people who have no work, they're all over the streets, like why are they, you know, rounded up and taken to jail? Why is that just like, you know, why wouldn't you say, oh geez, you know, get those people must have nowhere to go? I mean, why, you know, we know the economy's like that. Why is that, you know, like why is that exactly when we're living with this? And it's part of the problem of living with the 19th century version of capitalism, which is that like people, this kind of this 19th century like capitalism, like it's just part of it that you don't want the people, you know, it poses like sort of an ideological threat to have, if you saw the amount of people, you know, I mentioned when they serve, you know, the churches in here that were do something they should do in every city, which is serving 3 meals a day, like to people living in the street. But you see what happens, like why it's not done in a lot of other cities, because there are lines around the corner for every meal they're serving. Like you suddenly realize how many people are living either in abject poverty or on the street. Like, you know, there's a sort of there's a problem that goes on when you're living with a sort of the 19th century version of capitalism, which you're constantly having to get, you know, push away the signs that there's something wrong and that we haven't gotten to civilization yet. Because if you just let, if you let people, sit, live on the, if you allowed it, you'd have, people living everywhere would just see, like, oh God, look, there's people all over the streets. This many, you have to hide them in, is what it is. Like the police, and it's sort of just built into the system of 19th century capitalism, that there's so many people living either on the street in abject poverty, like not having money for food, that it's just natural, like built into it, that they have to be removed. Like before, it's not entirely conscious but no, you'd have to, no, because if you'd see that what's wrong, which is it's still the 19th century. I know there's like neoclassical things, like they're not only keeping it in its 19th century form, but like that's causing it to seem like, depending where you're looking from, looks like we're living in the Middle Ages. But that's one of those things they have to sort of hide the fact, because then otherwise you'd realize like something's of the 19th century. And it's this form of capitalism. The fact that like they've pushed it to the extreme version of that, like it's back, like it's going in retrograde. It's why there are like now like to what used to be called Hoover towns. But that's the thing. Like when people, when they occupy the financial districts and stuff, it should be just looked at as just part of these are the something has to move us on to where, say, Germany is, or where where countries that live have a civilized country are. But short of that, no, you just have to like keep pushing away the signs that we're not living in civilization, is what it is. That's what we were gonna add to the about people. That's what we were gonna add, but I didn't know if that was what you wanted us to add or what.